So the last verse was the 14th verse. Ananya Cheta Satatam. I am easily attainable by that ever steadfast yogi whose mind constantly and continuously thinks of me without any other thought. It is said, you take one step towards God, God takes 10 steps towards you. It is literally, you can experience it. You take one step towards the divinity, providence makes it so much possible that you can pursue it. So it's not that Lord Krishna is exaggerating here when he says, I am easily attainable. Sulabha. Sulabha means I am very easily attainable. So it's not an exaggeration, but he is only trying to make it very clear that if you put in the necessary effort, if you have a firm resolve within, if you are able to make your mind very clear, means your thoughts are very clear, what you want to seek in life. As they say, if they want to know what exactly are your thoughts, just give you a few pegs of alcohol. My guru used to say at times, if I want you, all your fellows to speak the truth, give you fellows a little bit of alcohol, all of you will vomit the truth. What's in your mind, we know. Because after that, you don't hold back. You're not putting on an act of hypocrisy. Isn't it, sir? No experience, sir. Just, yes, sir? They always tell the truth. So who is they? You're talking as if a third party are those who drink, correct? He doesn't. So, to the heart of hearts, to our own self, if we are very, very certain as to what we are seeking in life, with our, see, any pursuit of this, it needs a wholehearted pursuit. Because he says you have to continuously, constantly think of me without any other thought. Means there can't be any compromise. You can't have any other interest that consumes your life's purpose. So once you get yourself so dedicated, that effort when one puts in fact, when somebody puts in any effort, the result of that is, to that extent, that particular field, that particular art becomes effortless. If a musician is singing effortlessly, it is because of the hours and hours or years of dedication and tapas that sadhak has put in, becomes effortless. You all heard Madhurimani Iyer. If you all were tuned in, even those online, if you tuned in a little earlier, Madhurimani Iyer singing, or any classical singer singing, it's effortless. And that man couldn't walk. People had to literally lift him onto the stage, and because he was paralyzed. He sat there and mesmerized the audience 4-5 hours. If that person is singing effortlessly, what could be the effort that goes into it? Similarly, when he says here that the self can be attained easily, effortlessly, it only means the amount of effort you got to put in. And if you put in that effort, Then he says, it's very easy. Ever steadfast. And your thoughts become steadfast. In fact, even now you have a certain steadfastness to certain thoughts. Your thoughts are steadfast in a particular avenue. Now, what makes your thoughts steadfast to whatever they are towards is the value you give to it. The value you confer to something makes your action steadfast to pursue that object of value you give it. If you value money, I remember there's a very clear understanding in Malaysia, where I lived for a few years. The three distinct communities, the Indians, the Malay, the local Muslims, and then the Chinese. So the understanding amongst the other communities that these Chinese are very clear. What they want is money, that's all. There is no ambiguity about what they want to pursue in life. They don't feel there's anything wrong. So hook or crook, what come may, they will slog it out. They will work hard, and what they want is money. And I have not seen any greater clarity than them. Because what they want is they get it, And during certain times of the year where there is the Chinese New Year, that 2 weeks the market is closed, the whole country comes shut down. Nothing works. If you have something wrong with your car, you better get it done after the Chinese New Year. You want to get electrical equipment done, nothing, nobody is there to attend to it. They run the economy. They're so industrious, they're so successful. They work hard, there's efficiency in the work. Why? Is because the value they give to it, their thoughts are very clear. There is no other interest. Purpose is very clear. But when the purpose is not clear, you're neither here nor there. Am I to run behind the world to make a living? Or am I to renounce the world and seek the higher? What am I to do? I am seeking little clarity. There's a slight confusion, sir. Am I to give up the world and pursue the higher? I don't think it's that easy. So I'm still making up my mind. If that lack of clarity is there, how can you have that constancy of thought? But once you give a value, and what gives a value to this pursuit is the knowledge. So the more and more knowledge, the more shastric wisdom you acquire, the value for this becomes reinforced. What becomes a mere appreciation becomes a clear-cut purpose in life. Means it's not just something, oh, I understand it is good, Gita is good, this wisdom is good. No, it's not that. It becomes a very driving force of your life. So the value you give. So you got to sometime ask yourself, what is the value you have for the various things in your life? And where does this rank in the order of values? Which you value most? You value your relationship, you value your parents, you value your country, you value your profession, or you value self-realization. What do you value? And to that extent, your actions are ananya cheta, unswerving mind. Okay, this is what we covered. Now, let's move on to verse 15, please. Mamupetya punarjanma dokhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Mamupetya punarjanma dokhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmanaha samsiddhim paramam gataha. Now this verse begins the beginning of the third topic. The third topic covers the subject matter that Brahman is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. I don't know, there's some parallel between Kaivalya Upanishad and this 8th chapter. Huh? Daily other class. Repeated dose. Yesterday we were talking of the manifest and unmanifest in the Kaivalya Upanishad. The previous week we were talking something in the Kaivalya Upanishad, it appears here. This is the principle of advertisement. Repeated repetition, it gets stuck in the mind. It gets stuck in the mind, isn't it? Okay, so what he's saying here, that's for verses 15 to 22. Brahman is beyond the manifest and the unmanifest. Now what he's saying here is a fabulous message here. Having attained me, now we say whenever these great men use the first person singular pronoun I or me, they are not referring to the personality. A lot of confusion in religion has come because of a misunderstanding of the term I and me to be the personality. So it is not the personality, it's not Krishna. So there is no need to have a Krishna consciousness. It is not a personality. It is not an individuality. So when all these masters use the word I or me, they meant the self, they meant the Atman, they meant the reality. So having attained me means you can easily replace the word I or me with the self. Having attained the self, the Mahatmas refers to the great souls, are no more subject to rebirth. Na punarjanma. Punaha, again, janma. They are not subjected to rebirth. And what is the nature of the birth you and I are experiencing? He says, ashashvatam, which is transitory. And then he says, dukkhalayam, the abode of pain. I tell you, you can't get a better definition of the world than this. Anityam, asukham. But here the words he uses is ashashvatam, dukkhalayam. So those who reach that state of the self are no more subjected to the cycle of transitory and the abode of pain, they having reached the highest perfection. Samsiddhim paramam gataha. Samsiddhim is perfection. Paramam, the highest perfection. This is the actual word-to-word translation. When you split the words, this is what the meaning you extract. So, no more subjected to rebirth. One who attains the state of realization is no more subjected to the cycle of birth and death. Exactly like, the river only goes towards the ocean. It will not go backwards. But once the river merges with the ocean, the classic example in the Shastras, the river merges with the ocean, what happens? It merges with the ocean, the river ceases to exist. That is the death of the river. The river had an identity till then. But the moment it merges, there is no more identity, there is no more individuality. It becomes the self. It becomes the vast expanse of water, the ocean. And the ocean has no beginning, no end. The river has a beginning, the river has an end. But the ocean has no beginning or end. Similarly, an individual jiva is subjected to the cycle of birth and death, janma after janma. But once the individual attains the self-realization, there is no more further rebirth. Very rare, few experience that state. But for those who don't experience that, understood. For them, there is not what it is, the rebirth. There is no further rebirth, which is transitory and the abode of pain, which means you and I are subjected to it. Understand that. They don't have to go through that experience, but you and I have to go through. Since you and I have to go through, let's understand what it is. Sometimes when you say, oh, if somebody tells you, Jashima, you don't have to pay any taxes. You say, yes, I am not having any income, I have long retired. So since you know that you don't have to pay any taxes, would you be interested when is the deadline for paying taxes, what forms to download, whom to submit, when to do it, appoint a chartered accountant to attend to your accounts? Would you do that? Because you don't have anything, no income, nothing to file. Example. Means you don't have to have a declared income to say to pay taxes. So therefore there is no interest in it. But a person who has to pay taxes better knows the rules, isn't it? Since you and I are subjected to rebirth, we better know what we are going to be subjected to. What is the nature of the world? The nature of the world is ashashvatam, transitory. What do you mean transitory? Transitory means Sidhuji is saying transitory means en route, in transit. Ashashvatam, it's temporal, it's temporary. Everything is passing. Sir, if we ourselves are going to perish, what about our belongings? Isn't it? Sidhuji is saying we are going to perish. If we ourselves are impermanent, what about all our objects of attachments? See how ignorant we are, isn't it? Yet we seem to know it. Yet we are ignorant because the moment you understand, truly understand that everything is temporal, the natural effect of that is you will not get bound by it. You will not develop an attachment to it. You are just a visitor there. Why would you have anything to do with that place or thing or person or being? And I know what all I am attached to, you know what you all attached to. To the extent you have an attachment to, that means you don't understand the temporal nature. So attachment and understanding of its fleeting nature are directly proportional. The moment you understand that it is temporal, you will not get attached. You will not give a permanence to it. Attachment means a permanence to it. But the moment you understand the ashashvata nature in everything that you're doing, you will remain detached. This is the effect of the wisdom of the idea. Now you measure yourself. how much wisdom you have, how much information you have of this idea. You see how the idea would affect in our lives. Everything comes only to pass, as they say. Nothing comes to stay. Ashashvatam. Very seeming, this is the easier of the two to understand. Correct, Ramji? So pass the mic, sir, to him. You have to press and hold, sir. Yes.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to ask because Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. So in an Ashashvat world, Dukkham is also Ashashvatam. Means even Dukkham will not last all the life. There will be Sukh and Dukh both. Why is he saying it is Dukkhalayam all through?
The question Ramji is asking, you all could hear the question online? Right. The question Ramji is asking is, I'm repeating the question, sir. If the world is defined as Ashashvatam, even the Dukkha also is Ashashvatam. So therefore, why is he calling it as Dukkhama?
I mean, I do understand the broader meaning of all the attachments bring pain, and we are full of attachments. That's why we are full of pain in the world. That is okay. That I understand. But world, if you have overcome that, world also is a happy place, because as we always discussed, happiness is within you. And pain is also within you, depending upon how your relationship is with the world. So, I'm just asking, it's just a...
mischievous question, huh?
Not mischievous, but I want to understand if there is a deeper meaning.
The deeper meaning. No, I understand. I understand it's a very serious question, but now I must look for a serious answer for that. You know, elsewhere in the Shastras also, they say, Lokam, in fact in the Bhajgovindam he says, no? Lokam, Shokam, Samastham, he says. The entire world, he says, is smitten with sorrow. So it sounds very pessimistic. It sounds very negative. As you say, everything in life is opposites. There is joy, there is sorrow, there is good, there is bad. So, but from the perspective of the self, from their standpoint, they look at entire pursuit of the world as dukkha, sorrow. It's like from the standpoint of the sun, the entire world is in darkness, isn't it? So, you know, at times you have these floodlights on a stadium on because it's cloudy. And sometimes when the clouds clear away and the sun is shining, do you know the role of the floodlight? Yet the game was going on when the clouds, there was a thick cover of clouds because of the floodlight. If you go into a stadium, you know how powerful those lights are. The entire stadium is like you go a little high into the sky, you see it's like a diamond. It's brilliant. But the very same light becomes insignificant in front of the sunlight, as good as darkness. So the reason why they also, in a hidden meaning, why they are calling it as sorrow is because you should not fall a prey to the sense objects. So remember the definition of false happiness. What's the definition of false happiness vis-a-vis true happiness? One of the characteristics, trademark of false happiness or true happiness. And that's very much if you decode the word dukkha alaya. Alaya means a home, alayam means an abode, the source of dukkha. So all the joy, all the happiness you derive from the world is source of sorrow. Sorry, sir?
We mistake pleasure to be happiness.
It's on.
Yeah. We mistake most of the time pleasure to be happiness, and which gives a temporary instant pleasure. That is taken as a series of instant pleasure. We think series of happiness. So most of the time it is happiness is internal. The pleasure we get is external.
Correct. They are only talking about the pleasures the world thinks. The world thinks of pleasures is all contact driven, isn't it? The joys of the world, people believe what is happiness? Happiness is contact driven. His senses contacting sense objects is happiness. And to which he is saying that source, what you think is happiness, is in fact is wombs of sorrow. Womb means it is camouflaged. It's hidden. The fetus is hidden, isn't it? It is not seen, protected, camouflaged, unseen. So what you think is happiness is nothing but future sorrow.
Anything tasty gives you ultimately pain in food.
Now Sidhuji is talking. Anything that is tasty is ultimately poison. Now you come to the definition of true happiness. What is the definition of true happiness? Ramji, remember? That's the definition of false happiness. Always is in the beginning and this is what he's saying. The world thinks of happiness in terms of sense contact, and all that he's saying is the world is pursuing false happiness. And the trademark is, it is nectar in the beginning, poison in the end. But true happiness is exactly the opposite. So he is trying to explain this concept in his own language. Traditional way is explaining. Sir, it has various aspects of explanation. So the happiness, when it is driven between you and contact with the world, all contact driven happiness is transitory. We are very safe to say that. Is also abode of pain. Now, all contact driven happiness, the two aspects in the contact driven, you and the world, isn't it? Now, what is the nature of the world? The nature of the world is constantly changing. Dynamically changing. What is the nature of the individual? When I say the nature of individual, you're talking about? No. So you are trying to find happiness by contacting the world. Am I right? The individual has vasanas and desires. You have a certain desire and you go out into the world to satisfy the desire, isn't it? So what we are saying is, the individual, what he desires, is your desire static? The desire also is changing, am I right? What you wanted 6 months back, so you wanted to buy a car. 1 year back, 6 months back, you wanted to buy a car. You had surveyed the market and say, okay, I'll buy a car after 6-8 months. You had a certain budget in mind. You have surveyed the showroom, you have shortlisted it and say, might be between these two. It falls in my budget. And this is what is my requirement, etc. You seal that desire. 8 months later, what is the state of the price of the car? 8 months back, what was the price of the car is not the same after 8 months. So the product has changed. The value of it has changed. And there are better products in the market. So what happens? Your desire also has changed. So the desire is changing, means you are changing, the world is changing. So what you're trying to do, these two changing factors are trying to find a compatibility to find happiness. What are the chances? Even if one remains static, there's a fair chance of compatibility. My desire is not the same, my desire is constantly changing. The world which is trying to cater to my desire is also changing. Now, how can these two changing factors have a compatibility? Therefore, he says happiness is ashashvatam. It is passing. You with me? And then, when we say abode of pain, means we don't see the pain, we only see pleasure. It is the home of pain, but you don't see pain, you only see pleasure. That's the reason he's alerting us. As you say, anything that is palatable has health consequences. It has been off late haunting us, sir. White poison. Every time you go to the doctor, you are informed the common problem, the common source of all the problem is sugar. But you don't see it as abode of pain, do you? We don't see it as abode of pain. We see it as a source of joy, indulgence. That's why he's saying. The world doesn't see it, sir. That's what he's saying. You don't see it. Sanjay, do you see it?
Do I see it? The pain? Sorry, Guruji. I am with you, but I missed that. I missed the question.
No, I'm asking, do you get the message that why he calls the world or the pleasures of the world as abode of pain?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the way that it was phrased about trying to match up the changing self with a changing world, it's a near on impossibility. If you hit it, it's just chance. There's no science to it. There's no promise to it.
That's a very rare possibility. So whenever you keep contacting the world, your joy decreases. Remember the law of diminishing value. Whenever you contact an object or being, the joy content in the object reduces. You know that, Vaishnavi? The law of diminishing value. So when you say the law of diminishing value, what it means is, as you keep contacting the object, the joy keeps receding. It's inversely proportional. Now, this talks about your happiness index. This is the contact. With the sense object. So, at the first contact, you have 100 units of happiness. Am I right, sir? The first contact with the sense object, you have 100 units of happiness. The second contact, the happiness reduces to 60, 40, 30, 10, 0. Arbitrary. This is the law of diminishing value, and also the law of, anybody? The law of diminishing value will lead you into another law. Anybody online? Sitaramji, what is the law? What would law of diminishing value lead you into?
I suppose more pain.
More pain.
Because you're putting in more effort, but you're not getting the returns for it.
I'm asking where, you're not wrong. What is that law? Law of neutralization. Law of neutralization is nothing but acclimatization. Now this is happening to every experience. It's staggering. Now, what you see is, as you keep contacting the object, the happiness which was 100 units recedes to become 0. So the law of neutralization states two things. When you're completely neutralized or acclimatized to an object, you reach these two states, which is with the contact, there is no pleasure. If you don't believe, you go back to the 10th contact. What is the units of happiness? 0. So you're contacting the object, there is no pleasure. In fact, many a time what people will do to get the joy, sir, Sanjay Garu. Sir, can you give him pass the mic to him, sir? Setuji? Sir, could you speak in the mic, sir, so that online also can hear?
Yeah. They give external supplements to make themselves more happier.
So, example, let's say, take up alcohol.
Alcohol, drugs, things like that, or
Yes,
something
so
else.
if you take alcohol, at the first contact there is 100 units. As it goes, you come to a point where there is no pleasure. So to get the pleasure, what do?
Now they're going to increase the dosage.
Increase the quantum, increase the dosage.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So increase the dosage, you get back the somewhere thereabouts what joy you got at the first contact. So you reach a point where the extremity of acclimatization is with the contact, there is no pleasure. So what happens? Second point, Vasantama. Mike.
Without the contact, no, there's more pain.
Without contact?
More pain.
Sorry, there is
Displeasure.
you contacted, there is no pleasure. When you abstain, no contact means you abstain. When you abstain from the object, there is displeasure. Now this is very evidently seen nowadays. All of us are victims of it. Mobile. When you put on a mobile, when you're seeing a mobile, is there any... Okay, so I'll come to that second. Let's say you're watching a television program. TV is on. On one side, you're watching the television. If the television is switched off or somebody changes the channel, what is it? There's no pleasure. Means you feel the pain. When you are deprived of an object, what happens? You feel like you want to watch a tennis match, you want to watch a movie. You get upset. But when the movie is on or when the match is on, what people do? No, one is changing channel, other thing is that is going on, they're seeing the phone also. So the phone is on, a TV is on. 2 in 1. So what's happening? When you are contacting the object, there is no pleasure. Why? You have got neutralized to that experience on the screen. When I remove that object, you get angry, isn't it? You get, no, I'm not talking of this. You get angry. So with it, there is no pleasure. So you can't see it and enjoy it, nor can you get away from it. What do you call that?
That is why earlier they used to have sweets only during festival days. Not every day.
In fact, one of the beauty about our culture is everything is forced abstinence. As you said, they only sweets during specific days. In fact, even today, so much so, there are specific, on Vinayaka Chaturthi day, they make a specific jaggery sweet. And that's only made once a year. Huh? Whatever. Each. Why?
Even in other religions also, like Muslims make honey only in Ramadan.
Only in Ramzan. So all religions has this inbuilt abstinence. Now, can you tell me what has caused you to get into this state of complete neutralization? Mayama, hope you're following. Good to have you. We can't hear you, Ma. Pune. All right, I think there seems to be some issue, Ma. Let us know if you have been able to resolve it. But what sets the process of neutralization? So you use your limbs. Sorry, Ram Garu. You have your limbs. You're breathing oxygen. Do you find the pleasure in breathing oxygen now? Which means you have already neutralized to it. You don't know the joy of breathing oxygen. You're neutralized to it. When I deprive you of oxygen for a few seconds, instantly you feel the suffocation, displeasure, right? I'm using my limbs with freedom. But let's say there's a sprain somewhere, there's a muscle tear. You lose your mobility. When you have the freedom, you don't know the joy of it. The absence of it gives you displeasure. So you have got neutralized to your physical body. You have got neutralized to your amenities and facilities. You go back to your home, your home looks very boring to you. You don't find any joy in it. Neutralized. You built your home with such love and effort, but it doesn't give you any more joy. Does it? Boring. You go into a facility which doesn't give you the same comfort as you have at home. Displeasure. With it, there is no joy. Without it, there is displeasure. Narakam, that's why it's called wombs of sorrow, sir. Wombs of sorrow is because you are in literal hell. But womb of sorrow is a state you reach. So womb of sorrow equals to the state of neutralization. Now my question is, okay, Mayama is commented, she says, the reason we get neutralized is because we learn the fact that there's a point at which we don't have any more enjoyment from that object. It's not necessary that the object will have no charm in it. The object, the joy of life is to be able to extract that happiness from the contact right throughout. If you follow the chart, the contact reduces the joy. But the right contact is to maintain the same joy. Like the first time you get a kick when you start driving a car. Would you get the same kick now? You should get it. Anything for that matter. Whatever you do, if you are able to get the same level of happiness. In fact, another reason why people change partners in the West is because they got neutralized to the partner. They lead a very liberal life. So even before you get into a relationship, I've got neutralized with you, means there's no formal relationship. They don't get married. So there's a live-in concept. So even they choose to get married to their person, they have been seeing each other long before there is a formal relationship. So by the time you get into a nuptial, by the time you get into an auspicious relationship, you announce it to the world that we are married, we seek your blessings. By then you already neutralized to the partner. So there is no more joy in the companionship.
Our culture, that's why marriages are there again, remarried to the same person at 16, 18.
So you're saying that's the reason in our culture we keep remarrying. Sanjay, you must invite us for your 25th anniversary. How many years now you're married? At least that way we'll come to London.
Yeah, I'm married for...
But have you forgotten your first invite? I'm still remembering your first invite. Do you want me to see the... Remember you want me to see something in London? Intima, Ushama? No, I'm very sad. Sanjay has forgotten. He's supposed to invite me there.
No, it's an open invitation. I think you're referring to the coconuts.
Coconut? Coconut I get here only, man. I don't have to come to London to drink coconut.
No, but it was going back, but I think we discussed that in the mandirs. There are still coconuts there.
Sanjay, remember the London Eye?
Oh, the London Eye. Yeah, the London Eye, Guruji, is interesting. The fascination of the London Eye, but once you go on it, the interest is gone. So it's that kind of lore of...
See, you, how many times you have gone into London Eye? That's the reason you have lost interest.
Yeah. It's that common saying when something's on your doorstep.
Now the London Eye is boring for you, but I am sitting in anticipation when I'm going to get the invite to come and see the London Eye. There is neutralized for me also. Yes, Mayama. Yes, Sanjay, what? I was asking something to you. What was I asking?
Yeah, apart from how long I've been married, but I don't know if it was
how long you're married?
I think I've been married about 20 years.
Nice. I knew you were somewhere thereabouts. So 25 we will celebrate. And then 50 we'll celebrate. Okay?
Sorry, Guru, I'm being quiet because I don't celebrate my anniversaries.
We will celebrate. You don't have to
Oh
celebrate.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But then you are the host. No. How can we celebrate without you? Understood, Gada? Now, this is the reason, as I said, that relationships don't last, because there is no abstinence at all. Constantly in each other's company, feeding into each other. You like this, take this. I like this, you give it. All the time feeding into each other, they get suffocated, sick and tired of the partner. So they can't find joy in companionship. So even by the time these kids, they turn 14, 15, 16, they have experienced everything which an adolescent would not have experienced in a conservative society. So what is there in their life that they could drive them to look forward for life, sir? Tell me. There's nothing that they can look forward for in life, because everything they've experienced. By the time they're 15, 16, they're schooling, they've experienced everything. And that's the reason why you find in the Western countries all extreme things happen. All the extreme sport. They do bungee jumping. All that is not started here. All madness starts there only. Because normal thing, they don't find joy. They have to do normal cycling, they have no joy. They'll have to do mountain cycling. You'll not find anybody without a tattoo. They have to tattoo yourself all over the body, to pierce yourself all over the body. Why? Why do you think they do that? Huh? Why do you think they'll do that? Don't say fashion. Cool. They look cool that way. Gayatri Ma, do you look cool with a tattoo?
No, I don't enjoy tattoo at all.
Oh, but then you are, huh? Not cool, very bad you are. Not cool at all you are. But Gayatri Ma, tell me, why do these people go and tattoo and do all those things? Piercing.
It's some sort of a thrill or a change they wanted to have, like something crazy it is.
To impress others.
Oh, it's a craze or some sort of a thrill.
Thrill. No, I'm asking from a philosophical perspective.
They want some change. Then the routine boredom they are, so they want some change in it.
Let's say when you leave home, every day when you leave home, let's say there's a small check you do. Oh, I have my house keys. Do I have my wallet? Do I have my handbag? Have I worn my watch? 3, 4 things. Let's say, having left home 10 minutes, you have left home, you suddenly realize, oh, I haven't worn my watch. How would you feel if you are used to wearing a watch every time you go out and you haven't worn a watch? How would you feel? What would you feel?
Let go, Guruji.
Oh, I know you are highly sannyasi. She's highest sannyasi amongst us. She is. I'm just trying to create an idea.
Maybe some sort of uneasiness, like something is missing.
Something is amiss, isn't it? You feel a void, an emptiness, isn't it? Don't you feel an emptiness, a void? So if somebody is trying to go to the extreme of tattooing and piercing and doing all sorts of extreme things, what you gather is the kind of mental void they're in. They feel complete with it. Ushama, sometimes let's say you forget to put your bindi and you look yourself in the mirror. When you see, you feel incomplete, isn't it? Apart from orthodoxity and what it symbolizes, after the shower you come, you forget to put the bindi. First thing you see, you rush and put a bindi. Or you don't wear a bangle. A lady wears a bangle, an Indian lady wears a bangle, orthodoxity. No compulsion, nobody is to tell you to wear or not, but when you don't see it, you feel incomplete. It's exactly the same sense of void you feel. So the void is so big in them. Means to that extent they are neutralized. Seeing themselves normal is abnormal for them. So they have to tattoo themselves to be normal. It's a painful exercise, but they go through that extent.
Guruji, I have a question.
You have a question? Yes, ma.
Guruji, when we abstain, initially there is displeasure, but subsequently we are contented and we have some sort of a satisfaction or enjoyment in it. What is that state like?
Can you repeat, ma, please?
Supposing we are abstaining from the objects, whatever it is, and initially there is displeasure, but gradually you start enjoying that, or you feel sense of satisfaction on some sort of a contentment. What does that mean?
A sense of satisfaction or contentment
in abstaining the objects.
Ma, the real joy of life is not in contact, but it is in abstinence. That's exactly the opposite of leading an indulgent life. The more you keep indulging in the world, you lose the joy. So what gives you joy or satisfaction is abstinence. So as you said, initially the abstinence could be little painful, detestable, but once you are established, there's enough self-control and there's a control of the desire or absence of desire, it doesn't matter.
Example, fasting. Fasting is one example. Initially, it is a very difficult. I am doing intermittent fasting for the last few months.
Right.
But earlier, I used to eat something till going to bed, and as soon as get up, I used to take coffee. But now I am in the eating window of 8 to 10 hours. But now I am a little accustomed and I am very comfortable and happy with it.
Yes, that works. That really works. Yes. Mayama, you're asking a question. What is it that makes you enjoy an object forever? I believe that will hold for a self-realized person only. Ma, it's not. It is rather difficult to understand anything from an absolute perspective. For an absolutely realized person, there is no problem at all because he has completely transcended the world and he is reveling in the bliss. As Gayatri Ma just said, he is content without any contact because he is reveling in abstinence. So a person who has completely mastered his mind, controlled his desires, and not fallen a prey to his senses, such a person revels in the bliss of his own self. Now, from a relative perspective, as we have analyzed that the more you contact an object, you lose the joy. So in fact, what is that which puts you into the law of diminishing value is indiscriminate contact. When you keep contacting the sense object indiscriminately, licentiously, it lands you into a state of diminishing value or law of neutralization where the object loses its charm for you. But if you are able to punctuate your contact with the object. It could be anything. I can tell of my own example. In our house, papad only comes once in 2 months. Now I'm telling because I think the 2 months threshold is crossed. A little frustration. I'm announcing it publicly, sir. 2 months threshold is gone, sir. So every 2 months, little papad, one box is fried and kept. That's all. That also, see, it is all different shapes and sizes, so the box fills very quickly. But the house lady thinks there are many papads in that, but it's not so. You take out 3 papads, the half box is empty. But what to do? We can't complain because then there will be consequences of complaining. So Ramji, I am seeking your protection here, sir. I have to make it myself. Then I will be in deeper trouble after that. But whenever the papad comes, that day is Brahmaloka. It's Pandaga, it's Brahmaloka for us. And even while we are enjoying that, we get advice. You want to finish everything one day only? As if 1 ton of it is prepared and kept there. But imagine, I've known at homes, every meal there's a papad. Every meal there's a sweet, or every meal there's a papad. Every time you go to the table, there's something there. You get tired of it. You don't enjoy it. But the fact that you look forward for papad, and to be frank, I love papad. And I forced abstinence. 2 months, there's no papad. After 2 months, frustration kicks in. Before 2 months, somehow we manage. Now, what gives you the joy? What we are saying is when you abstain from object, you look forward for an object of contact. You look forward for it, isn't it? In fact, the opulent people, the real wealthy people, don't enjoy their wealth. They are neutralized to wealth. Can you imagine royalty enjoying royalty? People don't enjoy being photographed. They are got neutralized to being photographed. You and I are not photographed. So when you attend an event, when something album comes, you look for yourself. Where am I? Did I appear anywhere in the album? Why? Because nobody ever photographs you. Would royalty be interested in being photographed? They sue photographers. Opposite. So what you find joy, they are detesting. Now I ask you, is joy in being photographed or not being photographed? Is joy in the papad or not having papad? There is. It's all in your contact. If you have learned that art of contact with sense objects, you will enjoy any object right through your life. Today, people have no appetite for sense contact, no appetite. No, why have you lost your appetite? Because of indiscriminate, licentious indulgence into them, you have lost appetite. So Vedanta, on a relative platform, at a relative level, Vedanta helps you two-way. It first helps you to practice as abstinence. So you build your capacity to enjoy. Point 1, it helps you to practice self-control or sense control. So you build your capacity to enjoy. Second, you rise above the object of desire as well. The two things. You have the capacity to enjoy the object. Second, you have no desire at all. Then what will happen? You are a true master. Correct, Pushpama? Can you repeat what you wrote? Not what I said. I want to know what you wrote, notes. Give her the mic, please.
Once you rise above the objects, you have no desire.
Vedanta helps you twofold, Japan.
Twofold.
Two ways Vedanta helps you. What are the two ways Vedanta helps you? One is
Not one is to practice of abstinence.
it gives you the capacity to abstain. So you are building your capacity to enjoy. Kada? Second,
Second is about the objects, desire will diminish.
the desire itself drops off. You have no desire. So what is the opposite of that?
Again, desires will be coming.
Desires are there. Secondly, you have lost your capacity to enjoy. Please capture it. Let me write it for you all. Gayatri Ma. A person with Vedantic knowledge or wisdom, first is he lives a life of self-control, which is nothing but abstinence. And this, what it does, it creates a capacity to enjoy in you. Second, you drop the desire, so there is no craving within you. Craving ante the thirst, the trishna, the lust for enjoyment. It's not that. This is a Vedantic life. Exactly the opposite of that would be. Mike, please. Mike, Varma.
Guruji, I really want to understand. You say it creates capacity to enjoy when you have self-control. Then how you can drop the desire and have no craving?
See, one is when you physically abstain, also mentally abstain, you have the
capacity to
enjoy.
Yeah.
You get that?
Yeah. Then
now, because of you're not just merely withdrawing. Whenever there is withdrawal, a wise man, it's all withdrawal plus any withdrawal is always supplemented with knowledge. That is sadhana. If I am physically, let's say I come here, I lock myself in the ashram here. Ram Gada. Say I lock myself in the ashram, but my mind is all the time running into the marketplace. Is it of any use? It's no use. So I'm physically abstaining, mentally indulging. I'm a hypocrite. But if I'm able to physically abstain, mentally get myself absorbed in higher knowledge, what is the result of that? The lower desires drop off.
Second stage, that is.
The result of that is your desires drop off.
Thank you, Guruji.
Now, the opposite of that is because of indulgence, you lose your capacity to enjoy. Point 2, you have no control over desires. Point 3, you end up getting neutralized. Don't you? So, a clear distinction between a man who leads a life, a Vedantic life, a person who doesn't lead a Vedantic life. So, you can actually go into the marketplace and enjoy what you want without having a desire for it. If you have to be in the marketplace, you be in the marketplace. Isn't it? Let's say you have an invitation to watch a match. Oh, what? Go and watch a match. Huh? A Vedantic person never gets neutralized. That's why the first point is, no, he always has the capacity to enjoy. The capacity is high, but he has no desire driving him to the world. He's all the time left by himself. Whenever he has to contact, he contacts it. He's in bliss. He enjoys it. But all the time he's reveling in bliss because of his abstinence. The opposite of this fellow, all the time rushing into the world, no control over his senses, he's indulging, he's lost his appetite to enjoy, he has desires that push him into the world, completely neutralized. This, with it comfortable, without it also comfortable. This is all dukkha yonayaha. All of this is wombs of sorrow, sir. All of this is packed into those two seemingly innocuous words, wombs of sorrow. Sanjay, you had something to clarify? All okay? All okay? Sitaramji, you had something to clarify?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, no. When it was mentioned that abstinence gives us happiness, my thought was, well, actually, the abstinence per se doesn't give happiness. The result of the abstinence gives us happiness. Because, like, if you like sweets and we abstain from eating sweets, the physical sensation of eating sweets, the pleasure it gives us still remains there. But we know that by eating sweets, some other things which happen which are not good. So when you achieve that goodness, then you feel happy.
No, we are talking the very contact itself. So if you eat one laddu, which you haven't had a laddu for 6 months, because you are abroad, locked up abroad, you come back to India, you have a host of sweets, and you go to a sweet shop and you buy a kilo of laddu, which you like. First laddu you have, it's heaven. Ha ha ha. Amruta. You have another laddu. I said, man, this is what I was wanting all this while. You eat 2 laddus. Then you say, I'll have 2 more for dinner. You have 2 more laddus for dinner. You still enjoy it. Next day, another 20 are still in the box, sir. Huh? 20 more laddus you will have to eat in the next few days because the shelf life is only 3 days. Imagine you are having 24 laddus in 3 days. What is your joy content of happiness? Is it the same as the first laddu you had after 6 months?
Obviously not. No.
That's what I'm saying.
I fully agree. Yeah, that I fully agree.
So the joy,
one
so
thing
Laddu is the same, the person is the same, the desire is the same, the joy content has reduced remarkably. Why? The law of neutralization has kicked in. Diminishing value has kicked in. Nothing has changed. Your desire remains the same, the person remains the same, the object remains the same, yet the joy is not the same. So what they are saying is sense contact reduces the joy, happiness. You control the desires, withdraw from the sense objects, practice self-control, your abstinence increases your capacity to enjoy. In fact, abstinence is bliss. No wonder these great men reveled in solitude in the woods. They just found that great joy in being with themselves, by themselves. Today, if we abstain, we find we are frustrated very soon thereafter. We don't have the capacity. So it's a capacity, we've got to cultivate it. Okay, sir? I'm glad, Mayama, you have got the clarification. But see how you can sort your microphone. Okay, ma? Just see whether, is it working now? No, we can't hear you. Some technical issue. I'm glad it got clarified. No, Saumyama, there is no neutralization in a person who lives a Vedantic life. As I've said, a man who lives Vedantic life has a great appetite for life and has no desire to go out into the world. He's happy where he is, no problem, no complaints. Okay. We'll come back.
Guruji, there's an announcement by Jayama.
Oh, yes. Okay. Jayama, can you come and stand here so all can see you? No, stand here. Where is she supposed to go? Face the camera there. Now you are seen. Just stand there. Yeah.
Hari Om. The following week, on 10th of July, Wisdom Foundation will be celebrating the Guru Purnima event here at the Wisdom Institute. I cordially invite all of you to be a part of this celebration. This is an occasion for us to hear Guruji's special message on the occasion of Guru Purnima and seek his blessings. I also invite all the outstation people, if at all you can make it, do come and be a part of the celebration. Hence, we will not be having the Bhagavad Gita regular class next week, and it will resume the following week. Sorry? Yeah, this will be in the hybrid mode, and I think the flyer is on your screen. So the program starts at 10:15 a.m. and up to 11:15 we have a music concert by Srimati Aruna Ram and team. And from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. Guruji's talk, and the topic is fragrance of forgiveness. And at 12:30 we will be having the Guru Prasad. Thank you.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.